Thank you for watching KTN News and welcome back to News Centers. We have this discussion on issues to do with the deployment of police officers to Haiti. Was the law followed? What is your say and my say on this entire initiative? We know that Kenya has always been on the forefront when it comes to international peacekeeping missions. But on this one, what exactly are we going to do in Haiti? What is the term of reference? What are some of the procedures that we are following? What is the role of the international community? I am in studio with Advocate of the High Court, Nurdin Kagai, as he makes sense on this matter. Now, Kagai, as we were on break, the first question that we are asking is, as Kenyans and our police officers, we are suffering from deficits, from numbers of police officers. If you compare the numbers with regard to the citizens, we are operating below the UN agreed threshold. Yeah. But we are sending 1,000 troops. If we are not solving our own problem, where are we going? That is what Kenyans are asking. If I go through my Twitter, that is what is being asked. What are we going to do there if myself am not guaranteed of security by our own police officers?
You see, and that's a sad reality, because you have to ask yourself, like we're rightfully discussing, before you give, you have to have more. Because you can't give what you don't have, all right? And we're sending there 1,000 of our police officers. May God be with them. They need it. At the end of the day, how we live in our country, because we still have issues of banditry, even though it's not being aired.
Cattle rustling.
We still have issues of cattle rustling. We still have issues of petty thieves. We still have issues of terrorism that we see. And every single day we wake up to new issues. We as a country still have issues with the economy. We have issues with people who are poverty stricken. But we are going to Haiti to help them solve that issue. Now, whatever we're going to implement there, I don't know why we have failed to implement it here, and we believe that we will help alienate the poverty in Haiti. And that is why we're asking, because at the end of the day, all we're doing right now is speculating, because we don't know the terms of reference. We don't know what the multinational is going to be doing there. So at the end of the day, I believe there is lack of proper information. There is a lack of due diligence into this matter, because the citizens have not participated. The members of parliament who are representatives are asleep. The sad reality is that that house is captured, and you have to be honest, because those who are in Kenya Kwanza forget that they have an oversight role. You see, a member of parliament, irrespective of the political party you align yourself to, you are expected to oversight the executive. But they sit pretty and say, by the way, oversight ni azimio. And that is why we fail as a country. There needs to be proper approach in this issue, so that the nitty-gritties, all the details pertaining to us telling, offering to take ourselves there in July, we need to understand what we offered in going there, and what was offered to us, what we gain, what we expect to achieve in Haiti, and how as a country will benefit. But if we don't have that information, then what are we going to do there? Are our boys going for a nature walk? Now,
Nurdin, our officers are going to Haiti. That is out there. We know Kenyans are raising issues, rightfully so. But we don't know what Haitians themselves are saying. What if our officers have been deployed to Haiti and the Haitians say go back home?
It will happen like what I told you in the UN mission, the MINUSTA, 2004 to 2017, where they said enough is enough, withdraw. So they went to the streets and said these peacekeepers have to leave our country because of issues of sexual violence, the issues of cholera, because there was an allegation that they opened up the sewer system into the water. And 9,000 Haitians died and 800,000 were sickened. So we want a scenario where we need to understand what our officers are going to do there. So we don't have a scenario where the people of Haiti now, or the Haitians, end up aggrieved, and it becomes more or less us versus them. They join in the gangs and fighting our people. So we have to be very careful in how we tackle these issues, because I am sure they also have an issue with the unelected leaders who are purporting to lead the country. Now my question is, if they are unelected, which law are they using to seek the mandate of the multinationals to come? You get? So at the end of the day, the multinational forces, so at the end of the day, there are some issues that we need to address before we rush and deploy our officers there. And I believe because there's no date yet, I believe before the date that is given for the deployment, all these concerns raised by Kenyans have to be addressed. Otherwise, we'll be setting ourselves for failure.
Now, an issue to do with Kenya, Haiti, and other countries coming on board, it is an international body. The reason why we were waiting for the Security Council to give a ruling and a decision on that. Fine, they have made their own decision. But even while at that, why is this not being taken by the global human rights body, the United Nations, as a peacekeeping mission to Haiti?
And that speaks volumes about this mission, because this is the first time they won't be in charge of a mission. And it's being called a special mission, led by Kenya. Because apparently we asked to lead. Who is we? Who is Kenya? Kenyans are you and I. There was no single day your input was sought after into this agreement. And that is why we have a problem with it. You see, the issue is, we need to understand why also the UN peacekeeping mission doesn't want to lead this mission. In as much as their earlier mission failed, we need to understand why we are at the forefront. And that's why it brings me, because we don't have any information, it brings me back to two things: the financial incentives and political capital. Where we are trying to align ourselves in the globe and see and portray that we are peacekeepers, we are the go-to people whenever you have a problem. But we ourselves have so many issues that haven't been solved, even going as far as historical injustices. But we are busy trying to solve injustices in other countries.
Nurdin, as we keep talking about issues to do with Haiti, it is a very emotive matter, because back home we know there are families who have gone through police injustices, who have been killed, and we know even others who have been abducted. I remember President William Ruto during his campaign, he said the police service will change. Now, let's talk about the police are being deployed there. Have they been involved in this entire conversation? Has their voice been sought, or are they disciplined forces and theirs is to take an order?
You know, even before the deployment, there is the MSS resolution that talks about vetting and the rapid vetting for those who are going to be deployed. This rapid vetting is on things of misconduct, on things based on sexual offenses.
Yes.
Now, are we doing a vetting of those 1,000 who are going? That's question number one. If we are not, then we are also going against the same resolution that is sending us there. And that is why we are asking ourselves what is happening, because everything is done, it's more or less like under the carpet. Now, the police officers are meant to, of course, irrespective of the fact that they have a uniform, their input is meant to be sought. But I am sure it has not been sought. All they know is that boot up, dress up, you're living, you and you. And that is a sad reality. So we just hope that this mission is successful. We don't know what the success rate is, because we can't even rate it, because we do not have the terms of reference. We do not understand what the mission is about. We all know it's just about rebuilding. So we don't know what we are rebuilding in their country. And then the question we have, the human rights organizations in Haiti are saying that any deployment will legitimize an illegitimate government. So where does that put us? Where we are meant to respect our constitution, that we only recognize legitimate governments. So where do we stand? So you find us, and that's the question, are we doing our own bidding, or is there a puppet master working with the puppets? Because if that is the case, I rightfully say, then the sovereignty that we brag about is a myth and not a reality.
Nurdin Hagai, advocate of the High Court, asking difficult questions that we hope in the coming days will be answered. Because at the end of the day, yes, we need the fine print of this agreement to take our officers to Haiti, because our voices need to be heard. We need to know the terms of reference moving forward, and that even as this entire conversation, a date is being sought and our officers being deployed, that you and I should have a say. Thank you very much, sir, for gracing our studios. Definitely we keep an eye on how these will develop. We will have you back to go through the fine print and the details.